There's a moment that happens quietly when you realize you're always the one checking and always the one starting conversations, always the one keeping connection alive. And one day you simply stop, not out of anger, not out of drama, but out of exhaustion. And psychology says this silence isn't indifference, it's a response. Your brain is protecting itself after too many unanswered bids for connection. People who stop reaching out often do so after a long period of emotional effort. Research shows humans track relational reciprocity subconsciously. And when effort feels consistently one sided, the nervous system registers imbalance. So withdrawal becomes less about rejection and more about conserving emotional energy. Your brain is wired for fairness. Psychology calls this equity sensitivity. When you notice that care, attention, and curiosity aren't returned, your mind begins to question safety, not consciously, but biologically. Continuing to reach out starts to feel like emotional risk. So your system chooses distance, not because you don't care, but because caring started to cost too much. Another layer is self-respect development. Research shows that as people grow emotionally, they become less willing to chase connection that lacks responsiveness. Stopping outreach can be a sign of boundary formation. Your brain is learning that availability should be mutual, and that silence can sometimes communicate what words fail to change. There's also attachment recalibration involved. Psychology explains that repeated experiences of being overlooked, ignored, or deprioritized can shift how you bond. You don't stop wanting connection, you stop offering it freely. Your nervous system learns to wait for proof before investing, and this is often mistaken as coldness when it's actually discernment. Emotional fatigue plays a major role too. Constantly initiating requires emotional labor, remembering details, holding space, managing tone. Research shows that when this labor isn't reciprocated, burnout occurs. So withdrawal becomes recovery. Your brain isn't punishing others, it's resting itself. For introspective and empathetic people, this pattern is even stronger because you feel relational imbalance more acutely. You sense when connection is performative rather than mutual, and psychology says such sensitivity leads to strategic withdrawal to prevent resentment from turning into self-blame. What looks like ghosting from the outside is often silent self-correction. Inside, you didn't disappear. Suddenly, you faded gradually after noticing that your presence wasn't changing the dynamic. And that realization can hurt, but it also marks emotional maturity. The truth is, people who stopped reaching out usually did so after trying many times. They didn't wake up distant, they became quiet because their care went unnoticed, and their silence is often an invitation for reciprocity, not a desire for isolation. So if you've stopped reaching out and wondered if you're becoming cold, remember psychology sees this as self-preservation, not loss of warmth. Your capacity for connection is still there, it's just waiting for mutual effort. You didn't stop caring, you stopped overgiving. If this resonates, share it with someone who thinks you pulled away without reason, and tell me in the comments what made you stop reaching out in the first place.